Hello, my name is Ayodeji Ameze, and I'm your basic science teacher for today. We're going to be looking at the topic living and non-living things, part 1. Well, this may not be for the boys, it's just a girl thing. I'm sure you know we like baby dolls as girls. Some of our dolls talk, some of them sing, some of them move around. Some even give you a smile. If you were asked, is your baby doll living? What would be the answer? Let's look at this plant. Is it living? At the end of today's class, you should be able to tell which of the two is a living thing. We should be able to recognize that all living things are made of matter. We should also be able to give the states of matter. We should also be able to identify samples of living and non-living things in our environment. We should be able to distinguish the different characteristics that make up living and non-living things. Furthermore, we should be able to state the importance of plants and animals to human beings. What are living things? Living things can be described as things that are alive, things that are active. But that doesn't end the description of living things. They should also have qualities that make them living. By qualities, we mean characteristics that make them living. Non-living things, on the other hand, are things that do not have life. They do not also show these characteristics we're going to be learning about. Having said that, we want us to know today that both living and non-living things are referred to as matter. Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. Mass here means the amount of materials found in a substance. There are some things that we will not refer to as matter: light, sound, rainbow. These are not matter. But examples of matter include you, me, the table, the chair, our biros, even the cup we use to drink water. They are all matter. Matter, in its physical state, can be referred to as the state of matter. And these are solid state, liquid state, gaseous state, and the plasma state. Solid, liquid, as in something fluidy like water, and gaseous steam, just like we see steam. Then the plasma state is the fourth state. How can we describe a solid state? The solid state has a clear shape and volume. Our bar of soap here is a typical example of a solid state or something in a solid state. It has a definite shape. We can actually describe the shape of this object. It has volume. It doesn't need anything to show that it has volume. Further examples of solid matter include eyes, books, tables, etc. The liquid matter, let's describe it. It has definite volume, but the liquid does not have a definite shape. Rather, when it's poured into a can or into something, it takes the shape of its container. It can be seen and touched. Let's also note that the solid matter can also be seen and touched. Examples of liquid matter include ink, kerosene, water, etc. The gaseous matter, let's describe it also. It has no definite shape and no definite volume. The key word here is it does not have, it doesn't have a definite shape nor volume. Rather, When gases are put in a container, no matter how big the container is, it fills it up. If you reduce the size of that container, it will get itself compressed to suit that size of that container. That's about gases. It cannot be seen, nor touched. It can't be felt. Examples include steam. If you remember, while you put your water on fire, maybe in a kettle, at the point when the water begins to boil, we see some white substances go off the kettle. It's known as steam. Just like you can be seen here. This is steam whizzing off the kettle. More examples of gaseous matter include air. The air we breathe in. We can't see it, but we can feel it. It's there. The fourth state of matter, let's also describe it. It's very similar to the gaseous matter in some of its characteristics that it shows. It does not also have a definite shape nor volume. It also takes up the shape and volume of the container, just like gases. But unlike gases, plasma is made up of tiny particles, positively and negatively charged particles. For example, stars, fluorescent lights, and even lightning. Lightning can be said to be in a plasma state. We want to also learn that matter can change from one state to another state. I'll use the example of water. Water in a solid state is known as ice. When you apply heat to ice, imagine that you pick some ice cubes from the fridge or from the freezer and you pour hot water into it. What happens? You see, gradually the ice begins to melt. It becomes liquid like the hot water. So it means that ice, which is the solid state of water, gradually changes into the liquid state. If you further apply heat to water, it changes from the liquid state to the gaseous state. We can actually bring back this water to this initial point where we started. If you take this gas and you compress it, let the steam settle, it becomes liquid one more time. Liquid, put in the freezer, freezing, becomes ice once again. It means that matter can change from one state to another. We go back to living things. Remember that we are describing non-living things and living things as matter. Now let's look at the characteristics of living things. One characteristic living things have is that living things grow. What does it mean to grow? It means the irreversible increase in size. We see from this that this is just when the plant sprung up from the soil. Gradually, in the presence of sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water, it begins to grow. It begins to increase in size. Our plant here has grown this much. But it doesn't stop there. With all of these that I've mentioned, the sunlight, the carbon dioxide, the water, the tree continues to grow. That is what we mean by growth. It is the irreversible increase in size. Our second characteristic is that living things reproduce. They give birth to their kind. We can see from this picture that our mother elephant one day got pregnant and gave birth to her baby elephant. All living things should be able to give birth to their young ones. This is so that they do not become extinct. By extinct, we mean they cease to exist. The third characteristic is sensitivity and irritability. This is the ability to respond to changes in their environment. To explain sensitivity, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever touched something hot? You didn't know it was hot. Or probably you went to the kitchen to pick up a pot and you forgot that there was once heat under that pot. And as you picked up the pot, it was very hot. What is the first thing you will do? The first thing that comes to mind is to leave it. You quickly open your hand and the pot goes back to where it was picked from. That is a response to stimuli. The heat burning your hand is the stimuli. Your response is the fact that you quickly drop that pot. Another characteristic is nutrition. Nutrition simply means the process by which living things take in and use food. All living things use food. Plants make their own food. But animals eat plants and other animals. Nutrition. That is so that they will grow and stay healthy. Another characteristic of living things is movement. Movement is simply the change in location or position. My friend here is going to school, and so she's walking down to school. That's movement. You woke up this morning, left your room to the bathroom to have your bath. You took some steps to the bathroom. That's movement. Animals, the dog, it lives outside its house. It comes into the main building. It goes around. That's movement. But not all living things show very clear movement like animals do. Plants do not show such clear movement. But somehow, plants find a way to move. There are times that plants move in the direction of sun. I don't know if you've ever noticed that a plant, a particular tree, is bent towards a direction. If you take time to observe, you will notice that it is bent towards the direction of the sun. Now, whenever the sun is up, that's the direction the sun is at. So it bends in that direction. Or sometimes, plants bend or move in the direction of water. Some other ways to show movement is there are plants which, when touched, closes up. This is a form of movement. An example of that plant is the sensitive plant, mimosa. Yet another characteristic of living things is excretion. What is excretion? It is a process in which living things remove waste from their body. Like my dog here is pooping. That's a form of excretion. Plants also have their own way of removing waste. Some examples of the organs of excretion includes the kidney, the skin, etc. Respiration, one more characteristic of living things. Respiration is the process in which living things take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. You would wonder, do all living things respire? Yes, all living things respire because we need this oxygen to give us life. Plants take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. You wonder, but I've learned that plants take in carbon dioxide and gives off oxygen. True, but that is in the process of photosynthesis. This is when the plant is making its food. But generally, plants take in oxygen at some point and gives off carbon dioxide in the process of respiration. So all living things, remember, respire. As much as plants and animals are all classified as living things, they still show some level of differences. Let's take a look at some of these differences. Plants grow continuously. They keep increasing in size and length. Animals, on the other hand, usually show maximum growth. They grow to a point and they kind of not stop growing, but they no longer increase in height. They rather increase in length in all parts of their body, but they do not keep increasing continuously. Take, for instance, have you ever looked at your mother or father or an adult around you? Do you see that they increase in height the way you do? I'm sure not, because they have grown to their maximum point. You, on the other hand, when you were 3, you were not as tall as you are now that you are way more than 3. That's because you are still growing. But there come a time when you will no longer grow like the adults no longer grow in size. Secondly, plants make their own food. And I say this happens in the process we describe as, or we call, photosynthesis. Animals, on the other hand, use other animals as food, or they use plants as food. Some other animals use both plants and animals as food. Thirdly, plants respond to stimuli very slowly. But animals, on the other hand, respond very quickly. Even if a plant knew you were coming to cut it off, it does not readily run away, unlike a goat that knows that you are coming to get it. It runs as quick as it can. But the plant may not move, or it doesn't move, it stays there. The best it can do is close. It does not respond to stimuli quickly. Although plants move, like I've earlier explained, they do not move about freely from one place to another. But animals, we move around very freely from one place to another. All living things are made up of cells. What are cells? Cells are the basic functional unit of life. The very smallest functional unit of life. And both plants and animals are made of cells. But the plant cells are different in structure from the animal cells. For example, in the structure of the plant cells, they have what is known as the cell wall. But the animals do not have cell wall. Another difference is that plants take in carbon dioxide more and give off oxygen in the process known as photosynthesis. Animals, on the other hand, do not have a time when they take in carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide actually to man is harmful. That is why when you take in a deep breath, you will need to give out or breathe out almost immediately, because the oxygen you have taken in will be used by the body, and carbon dioxide, that is the product after you have taken in oxygen, needs to leave your body. Furthermore, plants do not have well-defined excretory organs. But animals, yeah, we do. Remember I said the kidneys, the skin, the lungs are all examples of excretory organs in animals. We'll be looking at some other things, characteristics and non-living things. As much as we have talked about the characteristics of living things, I want to say that there are some non-living things that seem to show these characteristics we have said the living things show. Then you wonder, why would these other ones be called non-living while they show some of these characteristics? Non-living things will be said to be non-living when they cannot show all the characteristics of living things. I'll give an example, like our baby doll. A baby doll can sing if she's made to sing and walk around, but Does she breathe in? Does she respire? Can she eat? No matter how hard you try to feed her, you only see that you drop the food in her mouth and it falls out again because she cannot eat. So she does not show some of these characteristics. She just shows a few. And so therefore, she will be categorized as non-living. We can take another example. Our cars. Our vehicles need fuel. It seems like the car is eating. Then while it moves, it gives off carbon monoxide as its waste product. But beyond all of that, what else can the car do? Does it show the other characteristics of living things? Yes, it may seem as though it moves, but we know that we have a long list of characteristics that it does not show. It does not respire. It's not sensitive. It doesn't grow. Have you seen a car that was at this level today and the next day is so tall? The answer is no. It does not. It doesn't either reproduces. Have you seen a car and it says, this is my baby beside me? No, because it cannot reproduce. Therefore, the car will be categorized as a non-living thing. So non-living things do not show all the characteristics. That's why they're classified as non-living. Now let's look at some importance of plants to man. Number one, plants serve as food and sometimes medicine to man. Just like I earlier said that animals can't make their own food themselves. Man, as an animal, we can't also make our food by ourselves. So what do? We rely on plants and animals for food. So plants serve as food and sometimes medicine to man. We can also use plants, firewood, or timber to build our houses, construct our tables and chairs, etc. Remember that plants undergoes the process of photosynthesis in which it uses up carbon dioxide. Remember I said carbon dioxide is harmful to man. In the process of photosynthesis, plants help us take this carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So it uses up this carbon dioxide. And remember, it gives off oxygen that we need as man to survive. Let's also look at the importance of other animals to man. Animals serve as food to man. Fishes, beef, chicken, they all are animals. They serve as food to man. Even some products from these other animals serve as food, like eggs from chicken, milk from cows. These serve as food to man. Security. For instance, our Mr. Security here, a beautiful dog, he stands in front of the house, even in the middle of the night. And when it notices strange movement, it begins to bark to scare off the person and to draw the attention of its owner. That's one of the uses of animals to man. It also serves as an avenue to make money. For example, our poultry products, cattle, like we can see here, these animals are for sale. When they are sold, the money, the owner uses it for something else. So it serves as an avenue to make money. Animals also serve as pets. I'm sure the person who took time out to dress our kitty cat was just having a good time with himself. So as a pet, this animal serves to keep the owner company, make him feel good, and all of that. Animals also serve as means of transportation, movement from one place to another. The horses, the donkeys, the camels, they all serve as means of transportation, transporting either people or their goods from one place to another. As we can see from our picture here, non-living things are also very important to man. For instance, air is non-living. We breathe in air, and you know without breathing, there's no life. We plant trees on our soil. We drink water, without which we will get very dehydrated and we may even die. We live in houses. The houses are made of bricks, wood. These are all non-living things. We also use cupboards, pens to teach, just like I'm teaching you. We use bulbs to brighten our paths, to brighten our homes. These are examples of non-living things. I sit on a chair, I write on a table. Without non-living things, the world will not be as comfortable as it is. We have come to the end of today's lesson. Let's do a recap of all that we have learned. We talked about living things and we described them as being active and alive. But remember I said that they must show characteristics that make them living. Non-living things, on the other hand, do not have life and do not show these qualities or characteristics that I've earlier mentioned. Matter, we said, is anything that has mass and occupies space. We also learned that there are different states of matter, and they include the solid, liquid, gaseous, and plasma states. We further looked at the characteristics of living things, and we said they move, they respire, they respond to stimulus, they eat, they are sensitive, they grow, they excrete, and reproduce. We said that plants and animals are living. They show these characteristics in different ways. So plants and animals, they are all living things, but these characteristics that make them living are shown in different ways. Non-living things, plants and other animals, are very important to man. A quick one. Let me ask us a question. Which of the following is the difference between plants and animals? A, animals respire, but plants do not respire. B, animals cannot make their own food, but plants can make their own food. C, animals grow continuously, but plants grow to a maximum size. What would the answer be? The correct answer here is B. Animals cannot make their own food. Plants alone can make their food. We wonder why this is wrong. Remember we said animals respire, plants also respire. We also said that animals grow to a maximum size. Plants, on the other hand, grow continuously. So A is wrong, C is wrong. The correct answer here is B. We have come to the end of today's class. Thank you.